a lot of my fundamentals in voice were created on stage. I did acting through middle school, high school, and into college, and then finally decided to make it my career. Uh, I, in high school, was doing forensics competition, which is poetry and prose reading. Um, those are the ones I did. There were other like speech making, but I didn't do that. So I kind of always been working on my voice in different ways. I was blessed with this big, deep, raw voice, but I have helped it along the way and nurtured it. And that's what you need to do in order to give yourself the best advantage in this business, is to nurture and to develop and to build those muscles, just like you would go into the gym. This is a gym workout for your vocal instrument. I did, after undergraduate work, I did regional theater, but I did outdoor drama. And that was a huge thing for me. I did 9 summers of it. And every summer you'd go out and you'd be outside, no microphones, something like 1,500, 2,000 people in the house, and you had to be heard. So we had to learn ways to project, more so than even in an inside space. So I worked and I went into grad school towards the end of that 9-year period and began using different techniques that I was learning from different vocal teachers and trying them out and seeing what would allow me to not sound like I was yelling in order to get to the back row. And you can do it through support and expansion and expanding your voice and letting it carry and making sure it's bouncing off of things, the back wall of the theater or something of that sort. If you don't have a back wall or a roof, that can be tough. But so that's kind of where my training came from. And then after graduate school is when I started getting into doing anime. And from anime, that led to video games. So my work with the microphone really started back in the mid 90s, and just has grown since then. As I've gotten older, I begin to worry about how long I can keep this up. Video games, as you know, are very stressful. I blew out my voice a number of times. Then I learned how to not blow out my voice. I don't know exactly what I did. Now I kind of know how I do it. But it was just like, how did I had to protect my voice. I had to survive and get through the session. Now, in the last few years, I've done a deep dive into vocal anatomy, breathing techniques, and the mechanism of the body and the breath and all this stuff. And I've gone, oh, that's how I make that sound. And that's what I'm going to try to impart to you in this workshop, is what muscles you are available to you to use in your breathing and in the support of your breath, and to get that subglottal, did you look at your definitions? Subglottal air pressure high enough that you can get that kind of sound coming out, and then how you modify your vocal tract in order to make that sound rich and loud without being shrill, and without being an unpleasant sound to hear, unless that's your character and you want to make it unpleasant. Okay, so vocal cords, as they're called, we now call them vocal folds. That's the kind of beginning of sound, right? That's here in your larynx are little tiny muscles and ligaments, and that's what your voice starts as. There's a lot of the subglottal air pressure coming up from your lungs. After it leaves your vocal folds, that sound is modified by your vocal tract. Your supraglottal, above the glottis, or the glottis is the larynx, and the vocal folds, that space. Above there, your pharynx and things, and you've seen, and we'll go through little diagrams, but how that modifies the sound as it comes out afterwards. An interesting thing about your vocal folds, your vocal mechanism, there's no part of it that is actually dedicated to the voice. It's all adapted from other things. We use our lungs to produce that air pressure to make the sound, but our lungs are there for breathing, not just to make the voice happen. The mouth is for eating, but we've modified it with lips, teeth, and tongue to produce vowels and consonants. The actual vocal folds were really to close off your trachea so you didn't swallow stuff, and or as you swallow food or water, you didn't choke. But those things modified and evolved over the millennia into what we have now, are vocal folds, vocal fold, the vocal cords, the sound of our voice.